Yeah, back on the SportsMax zone, as we've been highlighting on the show, it's election season for football associations / federations across the Caribbean. On Sunday, Michael Ricketts was re-elected president of the Jamaica Football Federation, and come Thursday, Carl Dickson will be hoping for the same when the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Federation election is held. Dickson will be hoping to stave off 4 other candidates, including 2 sitting vice presidents, Natasha Spring and Wayne Grant, along with former president Marvin Fraser and former player and national team manager Vincent. Dickson has been very tight-lipped during the campaign, but he joins us via Zoom to discuss his chances of re-election. Carl Dickson, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. It's a pleasure to have you on, albeit on the phone. How are you doing this afternoon?
Well, thank you very much. You know, it's really a pleasure to be joining the SportsMax team this afternoon on the eve of a very bright occasion for the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Federation.
Yeah, before I get into it, I just want to get some housekeeping matters out of the way. Can you tell us yet what time Congress will begin on Thursday and about what time voting is expected to begin? And I guess by extension, about what time we're expecting to have a result?
Okay, that's a good question, and let's get that out of the way as well. The Congress commences at 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the Methodist Church Hall, and we anticipate that the voting will get going by 7:15, 7:30. So clearly the results would be in before 8:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, all right, looking forward to that. Let's talk about Carl Dickson now. How confident are you that you can retain your position as president of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Federation?
Well, good afternoon again, and let me first of all say, you know, I must acknowledge the actual interest with which the affiliates of St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Federation are approaching this election. They're quite aware that this is a critical time for us. It's transformative, and we're on the crux of a takeoff. As it relates to my confidence, I'll say this much. I think quite a number of the persons who are engaged as candidates in this election maybe underestimating the intelligence of our affiliate membership. They would have historic records from which to check, you know, the essence of the persons who are vying for positions, and I think they'll make a wise choice.
Yeah, let's get into some of the issues then, because when we hear from a number of the other candidates and those around St. Vincent and the Grenadines football, you hear a change is needed. When you look at the fact that you are being challenged by 2 of your current vice presidents, even you would have to admit that to the neutral follower, the outsider on this issue, would be thinking, well, that does not look good, because you're there, these men are there with you, and all of a sudden, they're all challenging you. Something must be off.
I welcome that sentiment. I say to you, though, you mentioned the word change, and indeed change is required, but change in culture. The culture of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Federation has been, you know, immersed in our society for quite a while. But however, you know that the global environment in which football is administered has changed significantly since the 2016 fiasco. And I hasten to say this, that, you know, indeed changes are taking place. There are necessary changes. There are changes that would help to move the sport forward, and there are changes that are absolutely necessary for the viability and the sustainability of the organization and the people who tend to develop around the sport. Yeah, so the changes that are being made at my administration is actually creating some discomfort. And you know, with change comes uncertainty, but we are going through these things in a gradual way.
But Mr. Dickson, here is the problem. So you say that you are trying to enact change, and that is making some persons uncomfortable. That might mean that your sitting vice presidents are included, but you don't even have a slate. So how do we know that anyone is even backing Carl Dickson? Because it's not like you're coming forward and you're saying, well, those who were with me last time are no longer with me, but I have a team behind me, and these are the persons who are standing with me and who have the beliefs that I do as well. And so, again, I put it to you that you must admit that to the outsider, that looks a little curious.
And that's the curiosity of what you're explaining. To the outsider, it looks a little curious. But to me, I'll tell you, there's a guarded secret in St. Vincent football that must be played out on this particular stage. At this juncture, you would find that there's a disruption of many of the faces. So what you're finding is a marriage of convenience in some cases, where there are persons who would represent themselves on a slate, but not necessarily because they believe in the mandates of that slate, but primarily because they may be looking for support in terms of reestablishing their own relevance in the sport. I'll tell you this though, and it is significant to note that there is quite a bit of support behind President Carl Dickson. It is silent and it is strategic. One of the main things I wanted to establish on this particular program is that Carl Dickson is able to work with any team that is presented, as long as the development of football is the fundamental principle on which we stand as an executive.
Yeah, and Carl, it's no secret, yesterday we had Roxelle John on the show. He was the first one to, of course, appear on our show with regard to these elections. And of course, we were doing our regular questioning, and one of the things that came out of that interview is that under your administration, they have a number of issues, right? One of the issues that he outlined is that there has been a lack of communication coming from your organization, as in the public is not aware of what's happening, and those within the football fraternity has been lacking that communication. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that their perfection is not achievable. There have been hiccups along that line. However, we have had many significant successes, and I hasten to say that, I tend to focus on those things. We have had the notoriety to have managed the executive through two fundamental crises: the global pandemic and as well the eruption of the volcano in 2021. So what you would find happening is that the measurement and the standards by which any other executive, past or in future, cannot be really measured against our tenure. Yes, we have had some challenges at times. We navigated those as best we could, but we are improving. We continue to invest in the administrative staff training and the technical staff as well.
Yeah, it's always good to, of course, improve your administrative side of things. But let's talk about the football now. The football itself in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, things have not been as good as it used to be before.
That's true. And I could tell you one of the ways that we have tried to address it, and it is currently being addressed, is by identifying through the technical department with the appointment of Technical Director Tion Gordon, whom you're well familiar with. That appointment came under my tenure. It was strategic and it was important to the development of the sport. Tion has been the first full-time employed technical director for the organization, and he is putting steps in place right now that encourages the development of the sport that would manifest on the field of play. For example, one of the initiatives that he undertook was to engage former players and coaches and people of the national team. He went out into the communities and gathered feedback as to what essentially comprises the Vincent brand of football. And we were able to identify those things and document them so that we are singing from similar song sheet as it relates to how we play the game, how we train the game, how we practice the game across all age groups and across all genders. That is working quite well. We have also engaged in what are called zonal engagements for competitions and for selections of teams across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where from youth to senior team, we have constant playing engagement for our national selectees and potential national selectees under the watchful eyes of trained coaches who have been certified under the CONCACAF training programs. Indeed, St. Vincent and the Grenadines were able to increase its coaching staff under this current technical department and technical director, in that we would have engaged across the community college, which the same Roxelle John would have assisted in that program, in identifying and training a number of the licensed coaches. We have certified 24 odd licensed coaches. We have improved the coaching staff in our B-licensed coaches, and we have 5 of our coaches currently engaged in the 8 license program. So this is something that would take time, it would evolve, but it has to be consistent and it has to be strategic.
Right. What about your relationship with corporate St. Vincent and the Grenadines? How has that been? How easy has it been going about getting sponsorship? Because we all know without money, there's no sport. You need money, of course, to invest and to pump the sport moving forward.
Absolutely. And, the issue here is about how do we leverage our stakeholders in terms of getting support for the sport. In my tenure, we were able to attract sponsorship for all of our 8 national teams to the tune of US $100,000 from SCORE. And based on the visibility that we have been able to give them by our engagement in international and regional tournaments, we have seen them come back to the table looking to renew that arrangement, and that is something that we'll be undertaking pretty soon. As it relates to local attraction of sponsorship, we have been supported ably by governmental subsidiaries. The government has recently renewed our lease at our technical department. We have been able to tap into other funds that are provided through FIFA Foundation, which we're currently lighting our technical center, the first of any president to deliver on the promise to light fields across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As we speak, the Brighton Technical Facility, which is our main area of training, is currently being lit. And this is a manifestation of the promises that I made. And as I say in my campaign, my word is my bond. I also promised the affiliates back in 2019 that St. Vincent would soon realize its own home for football. That manifestation is a reality. We have been able to purchase 5 acres of land. You know how we are, how the St. Vincent topography is. We are mostly mountainous. We have been able to locate 5 acres of flat, durable land. We're very convenient where it's located. And we have designed and we have already procured the funding relevant to completing the first phase of that technical home for football, which comprises the laying of the artificial surface, the first one ever that will be in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the fencing of the facility, the lighting of the facility. This is on the leeward side of the island, and it is going to be a real game changer for future generations.
Yeah, and we look forward to that. I have very limited time in 20 seconds, Mr. Dickson, and I appreciate everything that you have just said in terms of what your administration has done and what is in the pipeline to be done, to be completed if you get re-elected on Thursday. But with all of that said, St. Vincent and the Grenadines men's team is currently ranked at 173 in the world, close to your lowest ever ranking, and the women are 163, your lowest ever ranking, and it's been a continuous slide. So the results on the field are not showing. It can sometimes be difficult to reconcile what the improvements that you mentioned of the field with what we have seen on the field of play with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. How big a mark is that going to be against you when the delegates go to vote on Thursday night?
I tell you, I alluded to it earlier, our delegates are very sophisticated kind of people. They're well educated in the way things are being done here. What I can tell you is that historically, the Vincent and the Grenadines national players are also employed people or underemployed persons who do not have the opportunity. As I said, we don't have lighting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now that we are putting that game changer in place, we'll be able to then execute more of our technical plan to bring our players up to speed, as opposed to coming straight off of the work environment and having to capitalize on the limited lighting that is available. They will be able to take a relaxation and do their training exercises more rigorously and with more focus and direction. So I just want to say that, you know, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the results right now are not the best, but the processes and the foundations that have to be laid have already been laid in this term, and we are on the crux of a takeoff, and our players will improve under the new coaching arrangement because we have more well-trained coaches that can execute the mandates of the technical director, and that would spill off into our players across all age levels and across all genders.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carl Dickson. It's been a pleasure speaking with you on the SportsMax Zone. All the best tomorrow for the election. You say it starts at 6 p.m. We expect voting to start somewhere around between 7 and 7:30. And by 8:30, we'll hear which of the 5 candidates will be running St. Vincent and the Grenadines football for the next 4 years. Thank you very much for joining us on the SportsMax Zone, and we'll continue to track and follow, not just until the close of election on Thursday, but whether the promises of whoever wins are fulfilled over the next 4 years. Thank you very much. Carl Dickson, the current president of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Federation. He says the sophisticated delegates will go to the polls on Thursday. Let's find out about the sophisticated results. We'll tell you about it on Friday's show. Let's go to